highly favored. I'm bliss, highly favored. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about LA Knight's status going into WrestleMania 42. LA Knight has been on Monday Night Raw recently, and it seems like they're building up a feud for LA Knight and The Vision going into WrestleMania 42. But it's not making a lot of sense because we also have the Usos and Seth Rollins also feuding with The Vision. And in The Vision right now is only 2 members. So to have 4 guys all facing The Vision does not look good going into WrestleMania 42, and something has to change. Since LA Knight is in a feud with The Vision, let's start off by talking about them. So the first thing that I see as a possible match for LA Knight at WrestleMania is just LA Knight versus Austin Theory straight up. I can see WWE going in this direction, but for me personally, it just doesn't work. I don't even think this can main event on Monday Night Raw. If this match were to take place, it just happened right in the middle of a Monday Night Raw. I don't see this happening at WrestleMania. It's just not big enough for me. So then what about the only other guy in the Vision right now, which is Logan Paul? And we've seen this match before at SummerSlam in 2024, and it was a really, really good match, but again, to see at WrestleMania, I mean, I guess it's a little bit different now. Logan Paul's in a heel faction, but the roles are exactly the same. Paul is still the heel and LA Knight is still the face. I don't know how intriguing this would be for WrestleMania. And it's especially hard to figure out what LA Knight does, especially because you have the Usos fighting The Vision again coming up on Monday Night Raw, and they just fought on Monday Night Raw. So maybe they run that back again for a third time. Maybe that match ends in shenanigans and you do the Usos with The Vision again. It seems like Braun Breaker is going to be coming back and he'll be healthy by WrestleMania. And you definitely want to do Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. You're not going to want to do LA Knight versus Braun Breaker. The only thing I could possibly see happening is maybe one of the Usos turning heel. Maybe LA Knight teams with the face Uso, whether that be Jay or Jimmy. And then you get, Austin Theory and the heel Uso. I don't know. But let's say one of the Usos did turn heel at WrestleMania. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense to do a one-on-one match between the two? You can have a heel Jey Uso versus a babyface Jimmy. Switch the roles around. I feel like that would make a lot more sense for WrestleMania than having, LA Knight team up with Jimmy to face Logan Paul and Jay, So that would kind of be perfect because it'd leave you in a pretty good spot with Seth and LA feuding with Theory and Logan. And you can do that tag team match at WrestleMania. And that's a good tag team match for WrestleMania. But there's 2 things that kind of throw that off. First of all, you'd have Logan Paul and Austin Theory as the tag team champions. And like I said, Seth and LA versus The Vision is a good tag team match, but not for the tag team championships at WrestleMania. And then Braun Breaker should be ready to come back anytime soon. And that's why I was kind of looking forward to Seth versus Brock Lesnar. And once I saw Oba come out, I knew that they were planning Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So then what? Do you do LA Knight versus Logan Paul and Theory in a handicap match? Or do you have LA Knight look for a mystery partner? Because who would that be? Chris Jericho? That just doesn't make sense. So I don't know. So then the question becomes, what would I do if I was booking this and I was WWE? And to me, there's only one man you could insert into this picture, and it is Trick Williams. Now, I know that sounds really odd and random because you have Trick Williams is on SmackDown and LA Knight is on Monday Night Raw, and they really have no history connecting the two. But hear me out, and I really think this could work. For me, this is a dream act for Trick Williams. These are 2 of the best talkers right now in WWE. 2 of the most over superstars, Trick Williams and LA Knight. And you really do want both of them on the WrestleMania card. First of all, right now, Paul Heyman has set up nobody to face Seth Rollins. So you can have Paul Heyman go over to SmackDown, talk to some guys backstage. Maybe you see Trick Williams talking to Paul Heyman backstage and trying to get him to join the Vision. And then Braun Breaker comes back and you have Braun versus Seth. So then what do you do with that Trick Williams? I'm not saying have him join the Vision, but just have that interaction with Trick and Paul Heyman to kind of set up something in the future. And that would be LA Knight versus Trick. You could have LA Knight come out, do a promo on Paul Heyman, and just say that his main problem is Paul Heyman. And anybody who's aligned with him, he wants to fight. So insert Trick Williams, because Paul Heyman has already spoken to Trick Williams at this point. He already has Trick Williams as a backup, so he'll insert Trick Williams, and you have Trick versus LA at WrestleMania. But for this to work, there's 2 factors you have to take into consideration. First, none of the Usos can turn heel, and they both have to be occupied with The Vision in Logan Paul and Austin Theory, and that'll be the WrestleMania 42 Tag Team Championship match. And then Sami Zayn. So I know, it seems like we're going to get Trick versus Sami at WrestleMania, and that's not a WrestleMania-worthy match for me. I feel like we've seen that on SmackDown already, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. But That's not WrestleMania worthy. Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn. That's just not good enough for me. And I think you can have Sami Zayn miss WrestleMania and it be okay. But if you have LA Knight miss WrestleMania, that's not okay to me. Sami Zayn is currently in a story where he's just crashing out and on the verge of turning heel. So having him miss WrestleMania would only make him more furious. And you can do Trick versus Sami after WrestleMania. But having Sami miss WrestleMania would make him even more furious because he missed WrestleMania 41 last year. And after beating Gunther at WrestleMania 40, that's a pretty huge downfall. And that'll only trigger Sami Zayn more to turn heel. So in my humble opinion, Trick Williams is the best bet for LA Knight going into WrestleMania 42. It furthers Sami Zayn turning heel. You have the Usos occupied with the Vision. You have Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. So to me, it all checks out. It's probably the best match they could do. Maybe they can do LA versus Gunther since Gunther seems to be having nothing to do. Maybe I make a video on that. But yeah, I feel like LA Knight and Trick Williams is the route that WWE should be going in. I don't think LA versus Logan makes sense. LA versus Theory. Turning the Usos heel right now is just not the best bet to me. And I just feel like LA Knight and Trick is a match that is worthy of WrestleMania, not Trick versus Sami or literally anything else LA Knight could do. But maybe we see Chris Jericho come back and maybe LA Knight fights Chris Jericho. Or maybe that's how they bring up Royce Keys to fight LA Knight. Let me know what you think is going to happen with LA Knight at WrestleMania 42 in the comments below. But if you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you did like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
I'm Bliss, highly favored. I'm Bliss, highly favored.